Section 6, the invisible substantial world and the visible substantial world, centering on man. 1. The invisible substantial world and the visible substantial world. Since the universe was created after the model of man, who is in the image and likeness of God's dual essentialities, every existence without exception takes after man's basic form, which consists of mind and body. Thus, in the universe there exists not only the visible substantial world, which resembles the human body, but also the invisible substantial world, which is modeled after the human mind. We call the latter the invisible substantial world because we cannot perceive it with our 5 physical senses. However, we can perceive it with our 5 spiritual senses. The invisible world, like the visible world, is a world of reality. It is actually felt and perceived through the 5 spiritual senses. The 2 substantial worlds together are called the macrocosm. Just as the body cannot act without a relationship with the mind, the original man of creation cannot act without a relationship with God. The visible world cannot enjoy its original value of creation without relating to the invisible world. In the same manner that we cannot understand a man's behavior without knowing his mind, we cannot really know the fundamental significance of human life without knowing God. Without understanding the invisible world, we cannot perfectly know the visible world. Thus, the invisible world is the subjective world, and the visible world is the objective world, the latter operating like a shadow of the former. Hebrews 8:5. Man, upon his death, after his life in the visible world, goes to the invisible world in a spiritual body, having taken off his clothes of flesh, Job 10:11, and lives there forever. 2. Position of man in the universe. First, God created man to be the ruler of the universe, Genesis 1:28. The universe, except man, does not have internal sensibility to God. That is why God does not dominate the world directly, but by creating man to have complete sensibility to the universe, God lets him rule the universe directly. In creating man, God created his flesh with ingredients from the water, earth, and air, which are the main elements of the visible world. God did this to enable man to be sensible to and to have dominion over this world. He created the spirit man with spiritual elements to enable him to be sensible to and have dominion over the invisible world. On the Mount of Transfiguration, Moses, who had died nearly 1,600 years before, and Elijah, who had died nearly 900 years before, appeared to Jesus, Matthew 17:3. These were actually the spirits of Moses and Elijah. Only man, who consists of both flesh and spirit, which enables him to dominate the visible and invisible worlds, can rule the 2 worlds. Second, God created man to be the mediator and the center of harmony of the universe. When man's flesh and spirit, by becoming one through their give-and-take action, stand as the substantial object of God, the visible and invisible worlds also become the object of God by uniting through give-and-take action centered on man. Thus man is the mediator and center of harmony between the 2 worlds. Therefore man is like the air, which enables a tuning fork to resound. Since man is created to communicate with the invisible world, he is meant to reflect everything happening in the world of spirit. Third, God created man as a substantial microcosm of the whole. God first created the universe by developing, in substance, man's character and form. Thus, the spirit man is the substantial encapsulation of the invisible world, since God created the invisible world as the substantial development of the character and form of the spirit man. Likewise, the physical man is the substantial encapsulation of the visible world, since God created the visible world as a substantial development of the character and form of the physical man.